Yes, welcome back. You're still watching Citizen TV. This is indeed the Power Breakfast. Now, before his appointment as Cabinet Secretary for Water and Irrigation, Eugene Wamalwa was chairman of New Fort Kenya, a political party that has since announced its dissolution and declared that it is now part of the yet-to-be-unveiled Jubilee Party. CS Wamalwa has recently been criticized for openly engaging in politics, despite his boss, the president, declaring that no member of his cabinet, apart from himself and the deputy president, would be involved in politics. To quote one newspaper headline, CS Wamalwa speaks more politics than water. Well, does he? What is his game plan? And is he really focused on his cabinet job? The cabinet secretary is here with us this morning and is ready to answer all your questions. Karibu sana Bwana CS.
Asante sana.
Now, of course, many questions abound on whether or not you are really focused on your job as Cabinet Secretary for Water and Irrigation. So probably we'll start with that before we get into the politics. Kindly explain to us the projects that you have been engaging in and within your ministry, and what have you been spearheading?
Thank you very much. I think it's almost a year since I was appointed to this job, and I want to thank His Excellency the President and the Deputy President for the privilege of serving Kenyans in a very sensitive docket that touches on the water and food security of our country. And when I came into office, I had very clear agendas that I put before the country, and one was to ensure that we strengthen the legal policy and institutional framework for the water sector. I think today, as I complete a year in office, I am very pleased to say that we have made tremendous progress, and we have the water bill that has gone through the National Assembly, through the Senate. It has just completed the mediation process, and in another few weeks will be signed into law. I want to thank the Environment and Water Committee led by Honorable Mina and her team, and to say that this bill will be a critical piece of legislation that will now align the water sector to the new constitutional dispensation. I am also pleased to tell Kenyans that over the last few months we have worked on the irrigation policy, and as we speak now we have the irrigation policy and the irrigation bill ready. As soon as we are done with the water bill, I intend to bring to Cabinet and to Parliament the irrigation bill and irrigation policy, which will also strengthen the legal and policy framework for the irrigation subsector as well. So these are one area that I must say I'm very pleased with. The other area, when we come to water, is that when I came into office, we had the 5 Vision 2030 mega dams. These were Maruba in Machakos County. We had Uma in Kitui County. We had Badassa in Marsabit County. We had Chemosusu in Baringo County. And we have Kiserian in Kajiado County. These were the 5 mega Vision 2030 projects that I found on my desk. And of the 5, only one had been commissioned. That is the Maruba Dam in Machakos, and it's already benefiting the people of Machakos. We're putting in more money to now extend distribution of that water. But during my 1 year in office, we have been able to commission the Kiserian Dam. We have also, with His Excellency the President and the Deputy President, recently commissioned Chemosusu Dam in Baringo. And the stalemate that was there over Uma and Badassa Dam, I'm pleased to tell Kenyans that we have now resolved, and before the end of this year, we will be relaunching the 2 dams. This will increase access to water for, when it comes to Kitui County, almost 80,000 people are going to benefit from Uma Dam. And in Badassa, Marsabit County, which is a water-scarce county, we will have almost 50,000 Kenyans benefiting. So this is not the only thing we have done. We have also started new dams. The problem that we have in this country is that as much as we are a water-scarce country, we get a lot of rain, but we have not developed the capacity to harvest and to store this water. Most of the water washes off to the ocean. The ocean receives billions of cubic meters of water that comes to Kenya and goes straight. So what we are trying to do now is to ensure that we increase our storage capacity, our water harvesting capacity. And over the last 1 year, I've been to every region in this country, and I've visited most counties We have made a master plan to ensure that each region, at least we are able to put there a mega dam that will help with water harvesting.
Okay.
Starting from the coast, we have Mwache Dam, which will be groundbreaking very, very shortly. And just yesterday, we advertised the last 2 dams. This is Lawat Dam in Turkana, and we have the Radat Dam, which will also increase our irrigation in the Perkera irrigation scheme in Baringo. Okay. But otherwise, in other regions, we are working on a mega dam in Isiolo. It's called the Crocodile Joe Dam. That is coming along very well. We have another mega dam in Koru. This will help both Kisumu and Kericho counties to control the floods of River Nyando. Once we have Koru Dam in place, and I want to thank Governor Jack Ranguma. We worked very closely with him and his counterpart in Kericho, Professor Chipkon, to ensure that we hold the waters of River Nyando, and with the storage we increase the acreage for irrigation, both in the Ahero irrigation scheme and West Kano irrigation scheme. So these are some of the things that we are doing. And in Ukambani, we visited, and we have started a mega dam called Thwake. Thwake will have the capacity of increasing acreage and irrigation to over 40,000 hectares. It will help us deal with the issue of hunger in Ukambani, but it will also provide water, not just for Makueni County, but Kitui County will benefit as well as Machakos County.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. When it comes to irrigation, of course, there's a big project at the coast, Galana Kulalu irrigation scheme.
Yes.
Yes, and there's been much talk because you're doing it jointly with the Israeli government.
Correct.
Yeah, and there's been much talk about it turning into a white elephant. I do not know because even when the Prime Minister for Israel was in Kenya, he was scheduled to visit the place, but
yes.
At the last minute cancelled. And there was a lot of talk that probably it's because of challenges facing that project. Probably it's not being done the way it should be. Are there challenges you're facing in terms of the Galana Kulalu scheme?
Yes, I must say there were challenges. Actually, when I took over the ministry, this was really the elephant in the room. And of course, there had been issues of corruption. There had been issues of certain officers being asked to step aside. And what we did is that we relooked at the whole concept. And it was one of the largest projects in the ministry and in the country, over 14 billion, to create a model farm of 10,000 acres. And we had to draw a new roadmap to address the concerns of all Kenyans, because they felt very strongly that we're putting in a lot of money for what would not add up to value for money for Kenyans. So what we did is that we actually cut down the budget to about 7 billion. And we removed some components of the contract that included milling, that included a logistics center, and we said, as government, it's not our business to do business. Ours is to facilitate and create the necessary infrastructure and the conducive environment for investors to come in. And that's exactly what we're doing now. As we speak, when I took over, we had only done 500 acres. As we speak, we're over 2,000 acres, and we have put the necessary infrastructure in place to ensure the 10,000 model farm is completed and handed over within the contract period. Once this is done, yesterday, if you looked at the paper, we had already put an advert of consultants to now start preparing the next phase, where we want the private sector to now come in. Come in, take over the infrastructure we have created, the research we have done. We know exactly what crops can grow in Galana. We know exactly what system, whether it is drip irrigation or center pivot system of irrigation. So we will use the model farm to showcase to investors who are interested to come and invest in Galana what they can achieve. And I'm very pleased that my last visit, I was able to establish that it is one of our best crops so far. We are actually going to hit target of 40 bags per acre. And this will enable us actually when we eventually open up the larger 500,000 acres, will enable us address the deficit, the maize deficit. Because every year with a growing population, we have a deficit of almost 10 million bags that we must import. We have a deficit, and that is maize. We have a deficit of rice in this country. We still import rice from Pakistan when we have the capacity to grow enough rice. And we're saying we are going to expand our irrigation capacity in Mwea. We are putting up Thiba Dam there that will give us another 20,000 acres. We are also doing the same in Bunyala. So that we expand acreage under rice. As I said, once we are done with Koru Dam, we'll expand the capacity of both Ahero and West Kano, because we'll no longer be pumping water from River Nyando, which is very expensive. We'll have water flowing down by gravity, water reaching more farmers, and therefore more acreage. So I'm very sure that with time, we will be food secure as a country, and Galana is a success story. The concept and the objective has been achieved. Ours is to hand over. And as for the Prime Minister coming, I want to say that over the last 1 year, I've visited Israel 3 times. I visited first as the first minister in a long time to visit Israel. The second time we visited with His Excellency the Deputy President, and the third time we visited with the President himself. And over 20 years, we've never had an Israeli Prime Minister come to Kenya. It is the effort and the process we have put in strengthening these ties that has seen these results. And the Prime Minister of Israel had only 2 days, and he had to visit Uganda. He had to visit us here. So we really wished he could come to Galana.
So it was just a question of time?
Yeah, no, time and logistics. But what we agreed with him is that we'll bring Galana to him. And this is what we did. We gave him the presentation. He was very pleased, and our president was very pleased with the progress we have made. And we were more pleased because our point is that our target is to hit 1 million acres under irrigation. But as we increase the acreage under irrigation, we must also grow capacity, so that we have more Kenyans trained in irrigation and water engineering. And that the biggest beneficiaries of the Israeli visit was really the Water and Irrigation Ministry, because the Prime Minister was able to take 124 new students whom I took to State House, and they were flagged off by the President and the Prime Minister. And as we speak, they're on their way to Israel to specialize in irrigation, and we want them to come back home and help this country grow into a superpower in irrigation in Africa. Thank you.
Okay, now that we've spoken enough water, yes, because you've been accused of speaking more politics than water.
Yes.
Let's now delve into politics.
Yes.
And explain to us, because when the President and the Deputy President took over power, they declared that no CS, no cabinet member of their cabinet will be dealing in politics. And at that time, I remember we had politicians in the cabinet, people like Charity Ngilu and Najib Balala, who moved from politics and into cabinet and stopped dealing in politics. Now, a few years later, you come in as CS for water, and we're seeing you discussing politics already.
I think, Fred, one thing we must know that between policy and politics, there is but a thin line. And as the Jubilee government minister, it is my duty to manifest the Jubilee manifesto in the work that I do, and to defend that manifesto, and to propagate that manifesto. Because I'm appointed by the Jubilee government that was elected on a clear term of 5 years, a clear program and a clear manifesto that must be implemented. We are the implementers of that manifesto. So when I'm talking about policies and programs of the Jubilee government in terms of development, if someone deems that to be politics, then so be it. But what we must also agree on is that, what does the law say? Our constitution actually does not allow me to be a holder of a political office as long as I'm holding this public office. And that is why, as party leader of New Fort Kenya, I handed over the party to Governor Lusaka, who is the party leader of New Fort Kenya now, and I took office. But that constitution does not prevent a cabinet secretary from being a member of a party or a member of a church or a member of a mosque, because you continue being a Kenyan who would enjoy the rights, the freedoms of worship and association and conscience and speech. Those rights are not taken away from you. And the only exception we must make clear is that under Section 23, of the ethics and the leadership and ethics act. The act is very clear. The law is very clear. The Leadership and Integrity Act is very clear that all public officers or state officers, save for cabinet secretaries, and also the county CECs, the ministers at the county. Why is this exemption there? Because as a cabinet secretary of a Jubilee government that has a political agenda, I must implement that agenda. Now, the CEC at the county level must also carry out and implement the agenda of the county government that is elected. So that exemption is for a good reason, and that is why I cannot, Fred, be in a public gathering, as recently it happened in Embakasi. Then a politician, knowing or assuming that I cannot respond to him, goes ahead to rubbish the government of the day, that they have not done this, they have not done this, like the water situation in Nairobi. Embakasi, Eastlands, they have a serious water problem. And when I was present in a church, I've gone to worship, and a code member of parliament stands to say how the Jubilee government has done nothing. Now, maybe he might be feigning ignorance, but it is my duty to correct him and to tell him, wait a minute, you might be ignorant of the facts, but this is what we are doing for Nairobi. And I told him, in Nairobi alone, we have a mega project. We're bringing water from Murang'a through the Northern Collector Tunnel. We have a mega project. We're bringing water from Kiambu County. And we're doing a pipeline right from Kiambu to Embakasi, which is going to bring water to the area where we were. Utawala, Mihango, Savannah, that area. So I must enlighten him and the people. And also, we are looking at Sasimua Dam from Nyandarua. We want to see how we can do a Sasimua too, so that we have more water coming into Nairobi, and we do away with the water deficit problem in Nairobi. We have another pipeline that we're doing to Gigiri, and this pipeline will go all the way to Karen. Because in Karen, people still use water bowsers. They don't have enough water in Karen, but we are telling them we have a master plan for Nairobi. And we are executing this to ensure that in a few years to come, Nairobi will be water secure up to 2030. I want to see us. That's all good because we'll be coming back to your plans, grander plans for Nairobi especially in a while. But let's now talk about party politics. Yes, you give up your position as a leader of New Fort Kenya, but we recently saw you at State House leading the rest of the party in actually folding up the party and handing it over to Jubilee leaders, the president and the deputy president. And there you stuck out because you are the CS, but this was a political move, and you stuck out because in the sitting there you were the one sitting next to the president, and there you are, a politician. Fred, as I said, I was the party leader of New Fort Kenya. And I campaigned across this country with President Uhuru and Deputy President William Ruto. They were calling us G7 at the time. And we had people elected as MCAs on our party, as members of parliament, as governors, who are elected under my leadership as their party leader. I've handed over a party to a new leader who has to make a fundamental decision that will give direction to this party. There are those in the party who felt that, wait a minute, before we make this decision, shall we at least consult our former party leader? Now, nothing in the law prevents me from advising or giving my opinion to anyone who seeks it, whether it's my former party, whether it is my Jumuiya and the church where I serve, or whether it is my court where I live as a resident. If I'm called to that residential meeting, maybe on security issues, maybe on issues, as a good citizen, I will be part of that gathering, and I'll give my opinion. Now, this situation is such that when my former party asked me for my opinion, I was very clear, because when I was vetted as a cabinet secretary, I made it very clear that yes, I'm a politician, and I'm going to be serving this country in this docket for this duration, after which I will be going back to politics. I made it very clear. And when you look at the Hansard, I made my position very clear. And I've made it very clear on which party I will stand and with whom I will stand. Now, that has been my position. So when my former party wishes to make a fundamental decision to go in the direction that I've chosen to go, and they seek my opinion, nothing in the law prevents me from giving that guidance.
And now let's talk about New Fort Kenya dissolving and joining the Jubilee Party. And surely it could be assumed that probably the cabinet position you were given was a carrot that was dangled at New Fort Kenya, that yes, we'll give you a cabinet position, then you dissolve your party and you join Jubilee. Is that what happened?
That is not correct. You remember that after the elections, as party leader of New Fort Kenya, I led the party into a coalition, a post-election coalition agreement with Jubilee. And we were under the Amani coalition with Honorable Musalia and Honorable Senator Gideon Moi of Kanu. And we all agreed, the three of us, we led our parties into this coalition. And we each signed a post-election pact with TNA and URP. And we formed the Jubilee coalition. And it was negotiated. It is a political process that was negotiated. And since then, we are happy that whatever was negotiated, including a number of appointments, has really been done. And we are part of this government. But where we are now, we are approaching another election. And as we approach this election, we have the choice whether to consummate this marriage or not. And really, there are those of us who have, as New Fort Kenya, decided that we want to take this relationship to a new level with TNA and URP to form one grand party. You know, in the tradition of the Republican and the Democratic Party in the United States, on the line of the Labour and the Conservatives in the United Kingdom, so that we have major national political parties that will take the politics of this country to a new level, where we compete on the plane of ideologies, of programs, and not really looking at one party as this is the Luya party, that's the Kikuyu party, or a Luo party, or Kalenjin. So this is where we are going. And that was a decision made by New Fort Kenya. And my opinion when I was asked is that if I was still the party leader of New Fort Kenya, I wouldn't have made any different decision. Yes.
Now you speak about not having a Luya party. Of course, the expectation within the Jubilee party, which is to be unveiled, is that you will be the link to Western region and probably deliver the Western Kenya vote. Do you think you and the New Fort Kenya are able to do that, to deliver the Western Kenya region vote to Jubilee?
I have no doubt that the political tectonic plates of Western are shifting. And when you see the Right Honorable Raila Odinga in Western for 4 days, pleading with Western not to leave him, because he can feel the tectonic plate shifting under his feet. The only thing I would want to correct is this notion that Jubilee is buying Western from CORD. It's really the other way around, that Western is buying into the Jubilee developmental agenda for the region.
And in the last developmental agenda, what are you talking about?
In the last 3 years, I can tell you what has already been done by the Jubilee government that is making Western get attracted to Jubilee. If you look at the education sector, we have TTIs that have been built across Western. And these are things that are attracting Western to Jubilee. And it is, if you go to Bungoma, we have in Webuye West, over 100 million has been pumped in for a TTI there. In Serisia, we have a TTI being built. In Tongaren, apart from the old ones, you know, like Matili, like Kisiwa, that were there, and more money has been put in. Over 500 million put together in one county. You come to Kakamega, and in Navaholo, you find there's a TTI there. You come to Webuye East, to Webuye West, there are TTIs, over 100 million each pumped in. Lukuyani, there's a TTI. Then you look at the older technical colleges, like Bushangala, like Shamberere. We have put in over 600 million in all these institutions, and Western is feeling it.
Yes.
And this has been done also when you go to Transoya. We have a new TTI in Endebess, a new TTI in Cherengani and Kiminini,
exactly.
and in Vihiga and Busia. Now, these are the things. Apart from
because
this, since Jubilee took over, and I want Kenyans to know this, it's really the developmental agenda. And after Kibabi, Western is seeing a new university that has come during the Jubilee tenure. And we are heading to Kaimosi this week with CS Matiang'i, because we want the second university in Kaimosi. And in Busia, we're already preparing Alupe. So when you look at all this, and in Transoya, we already have the Kitale Technical that has now been upgraded to a national polytechnic, and we have a university coming. This is only in the education sector. When you go to the roads, there are roads that we have been pushing for since I was an MP in the 10th Parliament. The C41 right from Tarbo through Naitiri, all the way to Sihendu to Endebess. That has now is now moving.
Sorry to stop you there, but it appears that the Jubilee government has concentrated on one part of Western Kenya, because there are quite a number of divisions within Western Kenya, as we understand. The Vihiga, we have the Maragolis, we have the Bukusus. But it appears that, and this is primarily the area where New Ford Kenya leaders come from.
That is not correct. The areas I've told you about, Kaimosi University is in Vihiga. That is coming.
The one that is coming.
Yes,
but the ones that are already established.
We are also launching a 1.8 billion project in the same Vihiga.
Those are projects that are coming. But the ones already established, the ones that the Jubilee government has already worked on and they are in existence, they appear to be covering only one part of Western Kenya. That
is not correct. The projects that have been started already, when you come to Kakamega, you know the Sigalagala Road, the famous road, that is already ongoing. That is already ongoing. And we have the road from Busia going all the way to Malaba. Then from Malaba going all the way to Lwahaha. Already the Chwele Lwahaha one has been started. So what we are seeing in a number of 3 years, we are seeing more developments coming to Western than what we saw in the last 5 years of the Grand Coalition government, where Raila was the Prime Minister. So when he's coming to Western now, there's a reawakening in Western. People are beginning to question him. You are the Prime Minister, you had half the government, you had half the love. How many slices came to Western? So these are issues that are coming from a reawakened Western. It is not that leaders are being bought or Jubilee is buying people. It's that leaders and the people of Western are having a buy-in in the developmental agenda of the Jubilee government, which is focusing on the socio-economic empowerment of a region that had not actually seen this kind of development. And really, this, as a minister in this government, coming from the region, I am proud to say that this is going to remain our focus, and in the remaining 1 year we are going to ensure that we cover all these counties in the region. And clearly when we go to the elections, because I've said I will be ready come 2017 to lead the Jubilee troops to campaign in that region, I will have a clear scorecard that I'll be referring to.
When I see when a leader of Bwana Odinga's caliber goes to Western Kenya and actually spends an entire week moving from county to county, definitely it sends a statement. Don't you think you run the risk of being isolated as New Ford Kenya by dissolving your party and moving into Jubilee, being isolated in this larger Western Kenya political shift?
I don't think so, because really, as I said, Western is reawakening to a new thinking. They want to hold their leaders more accountable. They want to look at what you have for them, not just empty rhetoric. This is a new Western, and we're going to see a new brand of politics. And we want to see, this politics of people moving around with a few youths hired to carry them shoulder high and look very powerful. Is
that your analysis of Bwana Odinga's tour?
Not really. Kenya? I'm not talking about the Prime Minister. I know politicians in Western who still pay youths to carry them shoulder high. And I thought that is really an outdated model of politics. To go to funerals and cheering you up, to look powerful, power politics. We want a paradigm shift from power politics to politics of empowerment. How do we empower our youth? How do we empower our farmers? And this is what the Jubilee government is focusing on. So far, we've put in over 3 billion in Nzoia and Mumias to revive, to expand, modernize these factories. We have put in engaged a private investor who is reviving pan paper. So when President Uhuru comes to Western, he will be coming to specific projects. He will be coming to launch pan paper on 30th of August. He will be coming to open, to launch the Misihu Brigadier Road. He will be coming to do projects that will have an impact on the socio-economic empowerment of the people of Western.
Okay, are we seeing a plan by Jubilee now that Raila has gone to Western Kenya, spent a week now? We're going to see President Uhuru Kenyatta doing something similar, probably in the name of opening projects.
That is not so. As we already said, even long before Honorable Raila went to Western, we had set a date of 30th August. And we announced this after we got an investor to revive pan paper. So in August, the president will be coming to Western, and he's coming on a specific mission. We want to see smoke again in Webuye. We want to hear the machines roar back into life. We want to see young people get jobs back, and the women actually get jobs back. We want to see roads open. We want to see water projects launched. We are going to launch the 1.8 billion water project in Vihiga. We want to launch the Busia Malaba Road. We want to see how the Sigiri Bridge that has caused loss of many lives in Budalangi. Already it's underway, and over $1 billion is being put in. We want to take the president there to launch that bridge.
So the president will be going to Budalangi?
To launch the bridge, Sigiri Bridge. Yes. It's already underway, and the president will be going. Not just with some empty rhetoric. Yes. He is going to a specific project called Sigiri that is going to transform the lives of the people there. We want to look at Mulwanda Bridge in Samia to see how we can create a third border point. We want to look at the Mulwanda cotton ginnery. We want to see how we can revive the Nambale cotton ginnery, how we can revive the Malakisi Malaba cotton ginnery, as we actually relaunch the textile industry. As Rivertex picks up, we would like to see Kikomi in Kisumu opening. And with these factories opening, we want to see more cotton being grown. And this one area in irrigation, as I inaugurated the new board, I made it very clear that we want to see more cotton irrigation in Turkana. There's huge potential. In Ukambani, there's huge potential for cotton. In Malakisi and in Nyanza, we have huge potential for cotton. And we will be working very closely with the governors in this region to ensure that we revive cotton growing again, we revamp our textile industry, we create employment for our youth. This is really where our focus is. Empowerment. And Bwana CS will be, in a short while, we'll be looking at social media to see how many other questions, because questions are many to you today, mainly to do with politics. Not much to do with the development agenda, really. But before we head on to Willis Waburu, we'll be checking out the tweets online. The idea of a Mulembe Nation or Mulembe Initiative, basically all the Luya communities coming together to front one political ideology, has been fronted. And ODM, during Raila Odinga's tour, many of the leaders dismissed this initiative. Is this an initiative that you agree with? Do you think that is the direction that Western Kenya politics should be taking? I think I want to agree with the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. The idea of regional parties, the idea of tribes coming together and saying this is our vehicle, you must now negotiate with us, is an idea that whose time has passed. Really, what we would like to see is a unity of purpose, not unity of communities and tribes into small vehicles. And that is why I would really want to support what the former Prime Minister has said, that we must focus on big national parties that bring all Kenyans together, regardless of tribe, religion, or region. And this is exactly what we are trying to do in Jubilee, so that in future, let us meet as Jubilee and CORD. Let us sell our agendas. We want to say as Jubilee, our agenda is to ensure every school in Kenya is connected to power. Our agenda is to ensure that after this is done, we want every school in Kenya to have water. Our agenda is to ensure that 30% of all public procurement is reserved for the youth and the women of this country. Now, what is the code agenda? So we compete on that basis, and when we approach the youth of Kenya, we tell them, this is what we have for you. They can already see, when code approaches them, they must also bring something better. So we compete. The beneficiary of all this will be the Kenya.
Yes.
And we improve our politics. We lift it above the issues of tribes, of regions and religions. And this is the way to the future. I challenge our code brothers as we assemble our Jubilee team. When we meet next year, let us meet on a higher plane. Thank you.
Okay. We head on now to Willis Waburu, and after that we'll come back and discuss your plans for Nairobi. Apparently you have bigger plans for Nairobi. We'll be discussing that in a moment. Right now, Willis Waburu is on standby. What are people asking the CS this morning?
All right, a good mix of conversation going on, from questions ranging on water and also politics as well. There are, I'll just sample a few of them. Wangeshi Wincliffe is saying, I agree with what most are saying. Welcome Eugene Wamalwa to Trans Nzoia. And then somebody else is saying, no doubt Raila is afraid of Western. Then there is somebody else, Mary Wangeshi 462, also echoing the Trans Nzoia governor seat. Probably that's a question you might want to ask about the political future as well. Somebody is asking what mega dams are there. That is according to King Sila 1. What mega dams are there? Please be specific about that. Then there is also somebody. Okay, there's also some trying to. Okay, we'll just scroll on that. Just keep on going down. So somebody's different questions here, but there's a good mix. So there's somebody saying at Cornelius Nyongesa seems saying CS is doing good work. Why involve politics? He insists, according to Mr. Nyongesa, saying that the law does not allow politicking. Then there's also Joshua _Shu says, does Eugene Wamalwa have any agenda better than Raila's Western grip? Yeah. So which they made law. I don't know what that means, but again, that is a question that is being asked as well. I also see other questions that were being asked about can the CS highlight on Lotikipi aquifer in Turkana, especially the progress report on water sustainability. That is according to Moses Ekai. And then somebody called the Ngosi is also offering the CS Mursik. I have no idea why, but that can also be something as well. So keep the comments coming. The hashtag to use is for breakfast. Definitely, Fred, the questions, like I said, ranging from political future to what is exactly happening, especially that question about Turkana and also the question on the dams.
Yes. Thank you, Willis. Now, before we go to your political future, probably you could address that Turkana question briefly. Yes.
For Turkana, we have the two water aquifers, and we did a survey of 40,000 square kilometers, and were able to discover huge quantities of fresh water right beneath the very dry Turkana. And with the help of UNESCO, we have now set up a Category 2 groundwater center in Kenya that will be doing studies in the region. And we have said after our exploration of Turkana yielded this water, we want to see this water utilized. Already the Napu one is being used to serve the people of Laudertown. Lotikipi, we have sent in a team. We want to see if we can use it for irrigation. And this is one way that we're going to be starting very, very soon. And we are also teaming up with the Ministry of Mining to do a survey of the entire country now. Because if we could only survey 40,000 square kilometers and we discover the kind of water we discovered in Turkana, we are encouraged that we have hitherto unknown national ground wealth reservoirs. So we want to do the whole country, starting with northern Kenya, and eventually cover the whole country. The other mega dams that probably the question I was asking about, we have a dam in Pokot County. In West Pokot, we launched the Sioi Dam. That is going to deal with the water problem in West Pokot, and we believe these will go a long way in addressing the water issues in that area. We are also in the northern, looking at the Daua Basin, and we want to do a mega dam there that will help both in irrigation and water, and we'll also be doing a dam in Maralao, so that we are able to deal with the Samburu water problems. And in Busia, we have the Lower Nzoia project with the World Bank that is going to deal with the issues of flooding. We'll have permanent dikes put up, but we'll also have water that will be used now to expand the irrigation in Bunyala, Ruambua, Mudembi, and all these other schemes that we are starting. Thank you.
Now, let's move on to your plans for Nairobi.
Yes.
And quite a number of questions there, people mentioning Trans Nzoia, which I presume is your home county.
Yeah, that's my home county.
It's your home county. But apparently you have bigger plans for Nairobi. Are you planning to run for the governorship of Nairobi?
I think, as you heard from the questioners, there have been a lot of requests that I consider running for governor in Trans Nzoia come next year. And there are also growing requests in Nairobi that I consider running here. But for now, President Uhuru Kenyatta and the Deputy President William Ruto have given me a very engaging job, which I intend to do. But in due course, I will be requesting to be released to join them back in the political trenches, as I've made very clear to all Kenyans. And as and when that time comes, I want to assure Kenyans that we will cross that bridge when we get there, and I will be able to tell them which seat I will be running for. But for now, I've made it very clear with whom I will stand, and I made it very clear that I will be standing with the Jubilee team, and I will be running with President Uhuru and William Ruto. And whatever position as they are our captain and deputy captain give me to play, whether they want me to play on the wing, and I've played with them before, they know that I'm a very serious striker, or if they want me to play in the center, I'm equally a very serious utility player.
Okay,
Thank
but back to the same question, because I think you need to give us something. The Member of Parliament for Westlands, Timo Nyonyi, who comes from Fort Kenya,
Yes.
attended the event in Makasi where you are.
Yes.
And his indication was that, yes, we will support you for the governorship of Nairobi. Surely, this kind of talk does not just come from anywhere, especially from a person who's not even from your party. Yes?
Yeah.
And there has been a proposal that Moses Wetangula, his own brother, could be running for a proposal that he should probably consider the Nairobi seat as well.
Tim, I don't know about Moses, but I know Tim. Tim has been my friend for many years. We're actually classmates at law school, and we continue maintaining that friendship in spite of being in different parties. And Tim is actually not in Fort Kenya. He's in ODM in Nairobi,
Yes, yes.
as the MP for Westlands. And I can say that he's one of the leaders, apart from other members of parliament and MCAs who have requested me to consider. And it is something that, as I've said, we'll cross the bridge when we get there.
But discussions are there for you to
Discussions are there,
the
and,
Nairobi governorship position.
Yes, requests have been growing by the day.
And you're seriously considering them?
As well as Trans Nzoia,
Yes.
but for now I keep my options open. I want to focus on my job,
Yes.
and when my boss releases me, I will be able to announce what position I'll be playing. But all I can tell you now is that I'm a utility player. I can play in the center, I can play on the wing.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bwana Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa, Cabinet Secretary for Water and Irrigation Services, helping us understand exactly where he's heading next year. He doesn't want to say it clearly, but probably what you hear in the news, there must be something.